Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Throat Punch Thursday.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Who's ready?
It's Throw Punch Thursday, bitch.
I don't know why that always amuses me. And I say that every week, don't I? I say every week, I don't know why that amazes me, why that entertains me. There you go. Not that it amazes me, it entertains me. Yes, I'm highly entertained by by that level of violence. One, because I know it's all in good jest. But also because, well, it's funny. Anyway, folks, very much appreciate you tuning in. Good to see you. I see we've already got American Crossfires is in at, got a comment in at 1501, 1501, our time. So that basically we were on for a minute and 13 seconds, and bam, American Crossfire got the comment in. Thank you so much for tuning in, American Crossfire. We always love having you on board. Anyway, Mike is not here with us today, but I am here with us today. So we're going to have a good old time talking about the politics and the issues of the day. Couple of things I want to make sure to do before we get started is I want to remind you coming up January 19th is the Big Shot Show party. That's right. Mike and I will be broadcasting. He will be doing Arms Room Radio. I will be doing 2A News from Craig with Craig DeLuz, that's right, as well as I will be doing the Rundown there from SHOT Show in Las Vegas from the week of, Monday. Monday we will not be doing the show, any of the shows, because we'll be arriving and preparing for the big party, but then Tuesday through Friday, we will be doing a show. We'll be doing some live broadcasts there from SHOT Show, having a good old time. And Monday, though, we are going to be having the Big SHOT Show party at guess where? Guess where? You guessed it, Hofbrau House. That's where we usually do it. There's going to be free beer. There's going to be free swag. There will be free snacks, win prizes. So, by the way, just in case you're wondering, yeah, no, there will be no stupid games. So hopefully there will be no stupid prizes. That is the plan. Anyway, it's going to be brought to you by Arms Room Radio, by 2A News, by the Rundown, as well as all of the other folks that are listed here, who you folks are very familiar with because we talk about them all the time on the program. If you're going to be in Las Vegas, come on out, say hello, let us know. And by the way, let us know if you are going to be in Vegas for SHOT Show. Let us know. We would love to hook up with you if you got your own business, or you got an interesting story to tell in the firearms industry. Would love to do an interview with you as well. So let us know, because we're always looking for folks to connect with. It's SHOT Show is really kind of a reunion of sorts. We go there, we hang out, we have a good time. Good time, once again, is had by all. Okay, I'm trying to figure out why that won't disappear. There we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, a good time is generally had by all. Um, it's a lot of work. We do a lot of work. I mean, we're there literally doing interviews with folks from 8 a.m. in the morning, usually till about 5 p.m. in the afternoon. And between 2A News and Arms Room Radio, we do more interviews than anybody else just about there, because we're always there. We're always there on Media Row. So anyway, y'all, this is going to be we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. Once again, I hope you guys can make it out for the party, because we're going to have a good time. Let's go ahead and get into today's news. But before we do, you know how we do it. We always start off with a quick shout out to our sponsors. Let's start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels. They're available for you to purchase at any length. All you have to do is go to hitmanindustries.net. In fact, if you've purchased an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels, so why not get another one? Whether you're looking to rebarrel your current rifle or do a brand new build, start your journey, start your project, start your experience with Hitman Industries. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly, working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan, that's right, the Gipper, once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. Want to learn why? Just go to their website, cragop.org. That's cragop.org to find out why you need to be involved in CRA. As I like to say, if you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. Why is it HAWG? Because they like helping Americans wear guns. Folks, go there, check out their holsters. If you find one that you like, why not get a discount? How do you do that? Just use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get a nifty little discount on your hog holster at hogholsters.com. And then finally, also with us, also a gentleman who will be present with us is the owner, president, CEO. I don't know what his full official title is, but of uscombatgear.com. It is the place to go. If you have a group and you are looking to purchase tactical gear, there is no better place for you to go than uscombatgear.com. They have a huge selection. They have competitive pricing, and they have the best customer service available on the market. Go there, check them out today. The place where you get all things tactical except a gun. That's uscombatgear.com. And then finally, if you are watching this program between 3 p.m. Pacific or at 3 p.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. Eastern, you're watching us live. If you're watching us live, we're also taking your comments. We would very, very much like to hear from you. Not because, well, one, I'd like to hear from you just because I always feel better than me just talking. I like hearing from y'all. So go ahead. I don't care as long as it's interesting. You can agree with us. You can disagree, agree with me, disagree with me. I don't care. All I care about is that you participate in the discussion. But just know this: if you do choose to disagree, just know that we do reserve the right to mock you.
Oh wow, is that a mockingbird?
Man, in the mockingbird? Another mockingbird?
That's right. As Mike would say, we will mock you. Anyway, we don't do it because we want to be mean. We do it because it's entertaining. Primarily, it's entertaining for us, or in this case, me, since I'm the only one here. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's program. If you've been paying any attention to what's been going on, you realize there's a lot of talk, a lot of conversation about the oil, right? A lot of when it comes to Venezuela, everybody's talking about Venezuela. They're all talking, and on the left, they're all talking about how it's all about the oil. In fact, CNN did a piece today, and I did a piece, and I had to kind of bring this up, and because I thought you all would find this to be quite interesting. In this piece, they point out. Here's what they say. They say Trump wants to own Venezuela's oil, but its largest oil customer is speeding towards clean energy. Now, the funny part about this is once again, they're making this largely all about the oil. Obviously, him being a tin horn dictator is what they would prefer like to call him, a globalist, a white supremacist. But the funny part about this particular story is, well, how they're pointing it out. Let me just share a little bit from the story. It says here President Donald Trump wants the U.S. to sell Venezuela's oil, but who would buy it? China has long been one of Venezuela's biggest customers for oil, but its hunger for that oil is waning as the country pulls off a stunningly fast transition to electric vehicles. That transition means China's oil imports likely won't be seriously disrupted by the recent U.S. military operations in Venezuela and Trump's push for American companies to revitalize the oil infrastructure there. Experts told China. Experts told CNN China will probably be able to procure the oil it needs from Russia or Iran. Now, the funny part about this is, and this is why I really wanted to hit this up, is once again, you've got the uninformed who are basically saying, well, he just wants to make money and steal all the oil so the American oil companies can steal all the oil. Um, that's not necessarily true. It is about the oil. And we've talked about this on the program before. It is about the oil in that Venezuela has used two main things in order to financially support its cronies and try to keep itself afloat. Part of it is oil, because it sits on one of the richest oil reserves in the Western Hemisphere, and the other is drugs. And it's really about their relationship with terrorist organizations, with enemies of the United States, such as Russia, such as Cuba, such as China. I mean, about 80% of their oil currently goes to China. 80%. So, first of all, I realize what experts are saying about their move towards electric cars, but keep in mind, they still need to generate energy. They still need to generate electricity. And while they do have nuclear, they also then they're building coal plants like nothing. They are still going to need natural gas, and they're still going to need fossil fuels. There's no doubt that. Now, were we anticipating that China was going to wind up, that we were going to be selling oil to China? No, because they're not supposed to be able to get oil. They're not supposed to be able to buy it from Venezuela because there's supposed to be sanctions against them. But they went to Venezuela because Venezuela gives a hoo hoo about the sanctions. So now, and not only do not care about it, they're giving it to them on a discount because, well, Venezuela owes China a bunch of money. So now they're not only are they not going to get the oil, they're definitely not going to get it on a discount. So this is also about them trying to figure out. So the other thing that's going to happen is that Venezuela is going to be able to sell the oil, and trust me, there will be plenty of takers for the oil. It's not like if China were to today say, okay, we're going to convert X number of vehicles over, that they're going to do it right away. Number one, and number two, they're still going to need they're maybe they're not, but there's still going to be need for oil throughout the entire world. They're not the only fish in the sea. But it is about the oil in that, once again, you have, and not all about the oil, but you have now removed a significant tool that China has had, that Cuba has had, that Russia has had, to be able to get around American sanctions. And so it's not about the money, us getting the money from the oil. In fact, all of the money that comes from the oil, well, it's going to go to two groups. One, it's going to go to the companies that pull it out of the ground, right? They're going to get paid for pulling it out of the ground, right? The other thing that's going to happen is they're going to get some money back for their equipment and their assets that were stolen by the Venezuelan government when they nationalized the oil industry there in Venezuela. But you're also going to see an increased investment in production there because there's going to be a lot more exploration because you're no longer going to have, at least this is the plan, you're no longer going to have a dictator or a tin horn dictator in charge who's going to turn around tomorrow or could potentially turn around tomorrow and once again nationalize the oil industry. But it's also a way to cut off our enemies, our geopolitical enemies, right? Our global political enemies are now going to, well, they're losing a major resource, and that is important. Not just that, but also the funding that they were getting from drugs. You do not believe that they were getting funding from drugs? Well, then you are not paying attention, my friend. Because and once again, even though Venezuela wasn't the source, the primary source of the drugs, but the cocaine was coming from Colombia, the fentanyl was coming from China, and it was being shipped into the United States from, guess where? Venezuela. Why? 2.5 hour flight. 2.5 hour flight to Florida. That's the reason why. Anyway, I'll say it once again. Yes, it was about the oil. No, not for the reasons that you thought. And well, anyway, things are going to get quite interesting going forward. But the left seems to continually be just missing it on all of these issues. I don't understand why they choose to miss it so widely. I think it's largely because they hate Republicans, they hate employers, they hate freedom, they hate liberty, they like licentiousness, which they purport to be liberty. And most importantly, they hate Donald Trump. And now, the interesting thing also about all of this is that, well, the Democrats' voice has not necessarily been united when it comes to their response to what's going on in Venezuela. And that is something that is important to note. It's important to note because, well, eh, Democrats are starting to show some cracks in their armor. At least they're starting to show some division amongst their ranks. This is a piece in the Washington Post. And it says cracks in Democrats' Venezuela response reveal foreign policy muddle. And we'll go ahead and read a little bit of this. In the days following the Donald Trump ordered toppling of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, Democratic critics largely fell into two camps. Many elected leaders and potential presidential candidates offered full throated condemnations, accusing Trump of brazenly breaking international law by seizing the leader of another country. The second group, led by California Governor Gavin Newsom, was more cautious, taking pains to denounce Maduro while warning that a long term engagement in the country could prove disastrous. The crack is symptomatic of a deeper uncertainty that has bedeviled the party for more than a decade as Democrats struggle to counter an American first movement that has scrambled the country's traditional foreign policy divisions. Quote, we have to reassert ourselves in terms of what our foreign policy credentials are as a party, said Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona, a potential 2028 contender. And the area we need to get back into is that the US is a stabilizer in the world, not the rogue nation being led by Donald Trump right now. Since Trump began dismissing foreign policy experts and upending alliances, he has pushed Democrats into defending the foreign policy establishment. They have at times sought kinship with disaffected Republican hawks while trying to prevent what they argued would be catastrophic long-term consequences of Trump's approach. They have wrestled with even older demons from the George W. Bush era when they debated whether withholding support for wars in Iraq and Afghanistan would make them look weak or unpatriotic. Now, so the crack we're talking about here is not that Maduro is a bad guy, not that he was some that there was. They're not even thinking about what is the benefit to this America first, right? And we already talked about, I mean, we've talked long on this program about why this move was, in fact, America first, as it removes a resource from our enemies, as it helps reduce the flow of illegal drugs, in particular fentanyl, into the United States of America, and the benefit that that's had. And if you don't believe that it's had a benefit, let me tell you, this is something that's not widely reported. Drug overdoses, after years of going up year after year after year, are way down. I'm talking significantly down. Murders and homicides are way down. And by the way, both of those are in no small part because we've shut down the border, right? Once we shut down the border, then we start looking at other things. We start looking at people who've overstayed their visas. We start looking at people who are trying to get drugs into the United States, maybe not across our southern border, but are trying to fly them in from places like, oh, I don't know where, Venezuela. That's all America first because it benefits America. Even though we're dealing with the foreign nation, it's still America first. Remember, America first does not mean America only, because the people who also benefit, in this particular case, when we're talking about Venezuela, are the Venezuelan people, right? More of their oil is going to be produced, going to come up out of the ground, meaning more money. It's not going to be given at a discount to communist dictators who hate the United States. It's actually going to be sold at full market price, which means more money for the people of Venezuela. That's all good, right? I mean, it should be. Now, I agree with, and I think where Gavin Newsom was right when he talked about this is we shouldn't be involved in a long, protracted. We shouldn't be involved in nation building, right? I do have to admit that when I hear them say, "Well, we're going to be there for a while," what does a while mean, and what does "be there" mean? I want to know these things because I don't believe that nation building is necessarily going to work. I don't believe that forcing other nations to become democracies is necessarily going to work. I just believe that when you see an interest, right, and one has to just kind of take a look at, U.S. policy for the longest time was that the longest time was, look, if we are we are going if something goes on in the western in our hemisphere, if you decide you're going to act in such a way that is going to cause danger to the United States and to our people, we're not going to tolerate that. That's always kind of been our philosophy. And then FDR kind of took it to a whole nother level where he was like, if you do pose a danger, we gonna handle that, right? And that's kind of really been our foreign policy, except for we just haven't done anything about it. Under the last two presidents, because we don't, I don't think we did anything. I can't think of anything that we did in South America or Central America regarding China's expansion into that area. Actually, I can't even think under maybe I can't think of anything under Clinton. So you got Clinton, you got Bush, and I could be wrong about those two. But I definitely know we did nothing when it came to Obama. We did nothing in that hemisphere in the central in Central America or South America when it came to Biden. That's what I'm looking for. Biden. We've done absolutely nothing. And during this time, one of the things that China has done, not just in our hemisphere, but also in Africa, in a lot of these countries, they've gone and they've really inserted themselves. Them and Russia have decided to insert themselves in our hemisphere such that they could have, troops, armies. Such that they could attack us with very little notice. And Trump is finally returning and making sure that we're returning to our foreign policy of old, which is no, you don't get to play in our backyard. And I know, yeah, I know those are other countries in our backyard, but you know what? No, 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 no. Yeah, you're a sovereign nation. I get it. You don't want, you can decide who you're going to associate with. But when you decide that you are going to attack us with drugs, right? When you decide you're going to supply our enemies, then you get what you get, and that's pretty much what's happened there. So anyway, our world, our position around the world is changing. Period, and so are our values. Being reported by Breitbart News, Trump takes U.S. out of 66 global organizations and treaties. The Trump administration announced Wednesday it's taking the US taxpayer dollars away from 66 globalist organizations, nearly half of them affiliated with the United Nations, and all of which are identified as, quote, contrary to the interests of the United States. Most notable is the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, the parent treaty underpinning all major international climate agreements. AFP reports. The treaty, adopted in 1992, is a global pact by nations to cooperate to drive down planet warming greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the impacts of so called climate change. A despairing a despairing European Union climate chief, Wop Horace, God, that is a name right there, said the UNFCCC underpins global climate action and brings nations together in the collective fight against the crisis. Quote, the decision by the world's largest economy and second largest emitter to retreat from it is regrettable and unfortunate, he said in a post on LinkedIn. Continuing his quote, we will unequivocally continue to support international climate research as the foundation of our understanding and work. We will also continue to work on international climate cooperation. Now, what's interesting about this is number one, we are not the number one emitters or number two emitters. Well, first of all, China is the biggest emitter, but we're not even number two. We're not as high on that list as he has made us out to be. But the thing that's important here is, first of all, most of these agreements that they have regarding climate change disparately impact the United States. In other words, we're required to do things that nobody else who are emitters of quote unquote carbon emissions are required to do. Number two, we do not and have not bought in, and there's been tons of information and data out there that goes to show that a lot of the alarmism that is put out there by the global warming community, by the climate change community, is overblown, and there's a whole bunch of it. In particular, it's overblown when one looks at the consequences of what we're doing, like how is this going to harm our economy versus what's the actual impact going to be? Are we going to destroy or get rid of 250,000 jobs in order to reduce greenhouse emissions 0.0001%? They flat out ignore that because they don't care about our economy. In fact, many of them would love to see our economy go by the wayside so that they can become the global power. So Donald Trump is rewriting those agreements, or at least he's reestablishing those relationships. But most of these organizations are run by folks who don't care about the United States, don't like the United States, and do not, most importantly, share our values. And because they don't share our values, the decisions that they make and the policies that they put forward are just they're harmful. And we have no real obligation to submit ourselves to international law or international rules. That's one of the whole things going back to the whole, Democrats and their response to the whole Venezuela thing, right? They're like mad because, you know, they always say, well, you broke international law. Well, the thing about laws, laws only have power when they are enforced. And when it's very clear that there is no one who is going to enforce them, and they are laws that, by the way, we don't agree with. I didn't vote for anybody. I didn't vote for the people who put that in place. Did you? No, you didn't. That was put in place by countries that would love nothing more than to see us fail. So no, we're not going to submit ourselves to these international standards. We're not going to submit ourselves to international treaties. We are going to be responsible and understand our role in the world. We're not going to be part. We're going to do our best to not be part of the problem. But we're not necessarily going to subject ourselves to someone else's solutions either. And I think that's a responsible place to be. I'm hoping that one of the things about all of these things that he's doing is it gives you an opportunity to pass legislation that will make these things permanent. I hope and I pray that President Trump does that. I doubt that I doubt. I mean, that Congress will do that. I doubt that they will. I would love to see Congress be functional and pass stuff like that. In particular, if Republicans wind up losing Congress in the next session, I don't see any of these things continuing on, unless, of course, we're able to elect a Republican president and get a significant Republican majority in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, so that we can actually codify these things in law. Anyway, just my 2 cents. And then when it comes to gun rights, and this is, I'm really liking what I'm hearing when it comes to this, and this has to do with the position on ammunition, in particular on California's ammunition regime, because once again, if it starts here in California, it doesn't stay here in California. Folks over at guns.com is writing federal DOJ, 26 states side with gun owners on bullet control case. A challenge to California's controversial ammunition restrictions is now bolstered by more than half the country, as well as the federal government. Road v. Bonta, which is currently awaiting a rare en banc hearing by the full U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, was recently backed by a coalition that has included attorneys general of 25 states and the Arizona legislature, as well as the U.S. Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Assistant U.S. Attorney General Harmeet Dillon announced this week that the Justice Department has filed an amicus brief arguing that purchasing ammunition plainly falls under the Second Amendment. Quote, California's in-person background check regime required before every ammunition purchase restricts the ability of Californians to keep and bear arms, noted Dillon on social media. She was influential in establishing the new Second Amendment section inside the DOJ's Civil Rights Division and has gone after both the government and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Los Angeles County Sheriff in recent weeks over gun issues. The DOJ's 36-page amicus brief contends, among other things, that requiring ammunition is conduct covered by the Second Amendment's plain text. California's background check regime for ammunition purchases imposes a meaningful constraint on the right to bear arms that the restriction is inconsistent with the nation's historical tradition, and that is just outright unconstitutional. And there are, by the way, I agree with her on everything that was noted there, but the problem in part also is they made it so difficult, it made it so hard that, for example, first of all, it's not really a background check. What they do is they look and they see, are you in the automated firearm system? So anytime someone purchases a firearm, your name goes into the to the automated firearm system, right? Or it's called APHIS. And if your name is an APHIS, if your name is not an APHIS, and if your name is not an APHIS with the current address, right, with your current address, you cannot purchase ammunition in California. So if someone comes into California, maybe they're going hunting, maybe they're participating in a shooting competition, yeah, they can't purchase ammo while they're here, and you can't buy ammo and give it to them. Nope, can't do that either. They have to be an APHIS in order to get any ammunition here in the state of California. And oh, by the way, I don't think they can't import ammunition either. Right? So they're not allowed to bring their own ammo, and they're not allowed to buy ammo once they get here, and you're not allowed to give them ammo. Right? But then the other thing is what if you've moved? What if I haven't purchased a firearm since the last time I moved? If I hadn't bought a gun, let's see, I bought a gun since I live where I live now. But then again, I've lived where I live now for about 15 years. So what if I move tomorrow and then a month after that I want to buy a gun? Well, unless I've gone into APHIS and had my address paid to have my address updated, which Lord knows how long that's going to take, because California and their computer technology stuff in the state is, well, garbage. They do nothing well, they do nothing efficient, they do nothing on time. That is the state of California when it comes to their technology. Once again, all that having been said, uh, it is a serious restriction, and it's nice to see them actually standing up and defending our rights at the federal level. Now, sadly, almost always en banc almost always goes against gun owners in the Ninth Circuit. The person who decides who the panels is has a tendency to stack the deck. This is not like other circuits where the entire circuit will hear it. Uh, the ninth is so large, and there's so many judges. They do an 11-judge panel, and the person who makes the decisions as to who's going to be on the panel always finds their way on the panel, and then always makes sure that the deck is stacked in the anti-gun favor. So it's likely, and either way, by the way, either way, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. If gun owners lose, gun owners are going to take it to the Supreme Court. If the state of California loses, you can bet the state of California is going to take it to the Supreme Court. So either way, it's going to make its way eventually to the Supreme Court if they are willing to hear it. So once again, as I often say, we shall see. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word. Get your hog holster today. A lot of conversations about immigration and about the Somali community, and there's a lot of President Trump said some very disparaging things about the Somali community, and people there in Minnesota, right? Well, I won't say rightfully, but they have stood up for those who are in the Somalian community. They've stood up and they've talked about how they've been an asset and they've built our community and how great they are and how great America is because they have members of the Somali community here. Well, this gentleman during the some questioning raised some interesting questions about the population and those who live there in Minnesota and just how much they contribute to society.
Large-scale Somali immigration make Minnesota stronger or weaker?
Certainly stronger.
Certainly stronger. Do you know what percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on food stamps?
No.
54%. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Well, to be clear, a majority of the...
It's 7%. There's a big difference between 54% and 7%, is there not?
Excuse me, sir, could I answer the question?
Let me move on. We've got a lot of questions here. What percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on Medicaid?
I don't know.
It's 73%. Do you know what that number is for Minnesota native households?
Again, you're using the phrase Minnesota native households, but the majority...
The number is 18%. That's quite an astounding difference. What percentage of Somali-headed households are on welfare in general?
I don't know.
It's 81%. What about, let me just ask you, after 10 years of being in the United States, what percentage of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare?
I don't know.
The number is 78%. So even after 10 years, 78% of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare.
Yeah, I think he kind of made his point there that if someone after 10 years of being in your country is still dependent on government assistance, my question is how much are they really adding to the culture, to the society? How much positively are they adding? Because they're adding to the culture. Let's not get that twisted. They are definitely adding to the culture. All right, this next one here, I'm not going to play the entire monologue from Jon Stewart, but I really do think Jon Stewart is hilarious, and I really do think he kind of nails it on this whole. He gets both positions from the left and positions from the right, hysterically funny and hysterically right in this monologue relating to Venezuela, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
Well, let's get right to the big story. Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend, President Trump and an elite team of Delta Force special operators removed a dangerous foreign dictator from power. Not that one. They're actually friends. And quite frankly, I think business partners. No, not that. They're also quite close. That's not okay. I believe these two have more of a heated rivalry vibe.
Yeah, that would be the leader of North Korea.
If you know what I mean, so it's not that one. No, that one. No, that wasn't
the dude
us.
from Stranger Things.
No, I'm talking about the now former president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who was reverse iced and imported. He was actually imported to a jail in Brooklyn. But don't feel bad for him. He was a feared and cruel dictator.
Don't worry, be happy. La 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 la.
Bobby McFerrin karaoke? You monster. Look, I know that clip makes him seem benign, almost kind of comical. But the truth is, Maduro oversaw a repressive regime that impoverished his nation, silenced dissent, and killed thousands. La, la, la. But his iron rule and a cappella terror came to an end on Friday night when U.S. Special Forces raided Caracas, Venezuela's only city, as far as we know, and snatched Nicolas Maduro out of his bedroom, apparently before he could even take off his sleep mask. His aura ring must have been like, you had a bad night. You did not get good deep sleep. And as it unfolded, Donald Trump was overseeing it all from a secure location the Situation tent at Mar-a-Lago. I don't want to be a dick or a nitpicker, but is this the most secure location? In Mar-a-Lago? Behind the curtain you throw up in front of the catering kitchen? Boo! This is a matter of utmost national security. Dessert's going to have to come out through the service entrance. I was never here. Whoop. That was me acting as though I was coming out of it. But obviously.
All right. Anyway, he was going off the rails there for a minute, but that was hilarious. And by the way, one last thing I wanted to share with you. This week, Tuesday, was the anniversary of January 6th, and the Babylon Bee, our friends over there, the fake news that you can trust, put together a memorial video so that we could honor those who lost their lives as a result of January 6th.
We thought it would be appropriate to have a moment of silence for those killed by violent insurrectionists on that fateful day. So please stand, place your hand over your heart, and say a little prayer to the non-denominational deity of your choice, as the name of every single person who was killed by a Trump supporter on January 6th scrolls on the screen in front of me.
For those of you who are listening on the audio podcast, it says a full list of people killed by Trump supporters on J6. And there's a bunch of lines with no names on them. A whole list of lines with no names on them. Yeah, that was hilarious. Anyway, yeah, for those of you who do not know, the only person who died on January 6th as a result of January 6th was Ashley Babbitt, who was shot by a Capitol police officer, an unarmed woman who was also a military veteran, was shot and killed. Anyway, was the only one to die as a result of January 6th. Anyway, all that having been said, that brings us to the end of our program. Let's go ahead and do a quick shout out to our sponsors before we go. We've got Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. We've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. That would be uscombatgear.com. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today's program. We will be back tomorrow on Free for All Friday. Till then, y'all have fun. You stay safe, and we will see you mañana.